Hello, my name is Butch. This is my lovely wife, Grace. We are
Hi.
the Barrias, based out of Toronto, Canada, and we're super excited to be taking part of this Catholic Social Media Summit. Just a little bit about our family. We have 5 kids. We're a homeschooling family of 5. Our eldest is Audrey. She is 11.
Our second, Dominic, is 9.
Our third, Bosco, is 7.
Our fourth, Isaac, is 4 years old.
And our youngest, Louis, who's joining us, he is just under 2 years old. So we got to make this quick before he wakes up.
Yeah.
All right. So we are members of Couples for Christ here in Ontario, Canada. And we are actually former missionaries for the Youth and Young Adult Ministries, respectively in Canada and the U.S., where my wife is from. And then when we got married, we moved out here. And since moving on from being missionaries, our biggest and most important mission has been our family, and it's been building this domestic church. So I think the biggest question that we'll be tackling is, how do you build your church? How do you raise your kids during a pandemic? So it's been crazy, but to be honest, just like everyone, we're figuring it out as we go along. We're learning on the fly. And we just wanted to pass on a few of the things that we have discovered. And the biggest thing that's really helped us is running our family and our little household like a mini monastery. So it sounds a little weird, but as we break it down, hopefully it makes sense. So without further ado, here we go. So, as mentioned, we are a homeschooling family. So we're used to being home together a lot already. I think probably the bigger adjustment was me working from home.
Yeah, invading our space.
Invading their space. So just like I'm sure you guys over there, there was lockdown. Everything got shut down here as well when everything happened. And we were told to work from home. So it was crazy. Just learning how to be under one roof and still do the same things we were supposed to be doing, doing the schooling, and then me trying to do, work at a high level as best I can. It was hard. It was really something that took some figuring out, and it took a bit of time to get there.
So with the pandemic and kind of having that mindset, the framework of treating our home like a mini monastery, it really allowed us to fine-tune some of the practices we already had in place prior to the pandemic, and to hone in on those things that were going to help us go stronger as a family unit and allow us to thrive in an otherwise challenging time.
Yeah. So we are going to break it down for you. We're going to just kind of go tip by tip on what we discovered and really trying to run our little home as a monastery during a pandemic. That's a long title.
Make your home your church.
So when the lockdown happened and everyone had to shelter in, we couldn't go to church anymore. So our own home was really the only place of worship, and we weren't sure for how long. So it was important for us to really bring the beauty of church in our home somehow. All right, so we tried to fill it with inspirational quotes from saints, with holy artwork and statues and things of that nature, to really try to just bring in, that essence and beauty of God still.
And we even painted one of our windows like a stained glass, kind of like a craft activity, and just to kind of make it seem like our home was really a church, but it was really kind of a hodgepodge.
It was it wasn't the prettiest thing, but I think the kids recognized the effort, and hopefully the Lord did as well. All right. But I think the bigger challenge in making our home our domestic church was going to Mass, right? So we couldn't go to church, couldn't go to Mass, couldn't receive Jesus, which was tough. But we still carved out that time on Sunday to find whatever was streaming on YouTube or whatever else, and to get out of our pajamas
Yes.
and still dress up. And we're still indicating to the kids that this is the Lord's Day. This is different than, watching TV, any other type of program. This is really the Lord's time. So we set up our living room. We had our chairs out like a pew, and we had them dress up. And I felt it was very, very important to really maintain that.
And it's really just a posture of reverence that we wanted to maintain, even though we weren't going to church. We were within our home and we were participating in the Mass, albeit watching it on the big screen. But it was to really teach and signal to our kids that this time was sacred, no matter that we weren't within the church walls, but it was still very important. And to treat it holy, this time with the Lord.
So as, I guess, the abbot of the monastery, myself being the abbot of the monastery, it was really on me to really set the tone and get the kids going, and to encourage them and to go through all the headaches we would do beforehand in trying to get the kids ready for church, really to take that same effort, even though we are in the comforts of our own home, and that kind of actually makes it harder. But it was really on me and Gracie here to really set the tone and really push forward to really make our home a church.
Embrace together time.
So, just like the monastic life, where there's an emphasis on doing things together as a community, for us as a family, we really had to find creative ways for us to bond together, because a lot of the activities each of our kids had, it wasn't there anymore. We didn't have it, right? And so we had to return to old-fashioned fun and, again, just discover ways to keep the whole family engaged together and bond together.
Yeah, so
what did that look like?
So we did a lot of nature walks.
Yes.
A lot of jigsaw puzzles. We learned a few hobbies together. My son got into whittling, carving things and things like that, and just trying to find those types of opportunities to do things together, to learn together. When lockdown started to ease up a bit in phases for us here in Canada, we got out of the house. We went to the beach a lot. We found opportunities and weekends to really just have fun, and we did. I think this was probably one of our busiest summers, probably one of our most memorable summers, I'd say, simply because we had to seize the moment. We weren't sure if things were gonna, get locked down again. So we're like, let's take our family and let's just do it.
And we loved it because it really allowed us to strip away a lot of the things that weren't so important, and maybe not really realizing it was putting a bit of a wedge, or made us sacrifice that family time together because everyone had their individualized activities. But we limited our technology use, and one of the things we did too was read The Hobbit, and once we were finished with the novel, we watched the whole movie series, and that was just really engaging, even for our daughter who's 11 all the way to our son Isaac who's 4, and we really just enjoyed that together.
Yeah, we watched and have watched a lot of movies and shows together, and we discouraged this sort of independent watching, I guess you can say, where kids can kind of get lost in an iPad
Or YouTube
and be on their own to watch. It was all about together. If you're going to watch something, everyone has to be involved. And it was a bit annoying for the kids at first, but I think it's something they got used to, and they learned how to cater to each other's sort of tastes in shows, all the way from a 4-year-old all the way up to us, and something that we could all enjoy together. So it was really that. It was just we were together. We were sort of this small community, and we learned how to sacrifice even those small things a little bit, and just spend more time together, and not be distracted by a lot of things.
And that was the important thing.
Yeah.
Cultivate virtue. Hi.
So, taking a page out of St. Benedict's book of Pray and Work, it was important for us to do the same, starting with our chores, washing the dishes, setting the table for meals, cooking together, having the kids take part in cooking, even though they weren't very good, but just teaching them. All right, they were good. They were good. But teaching them not only these sort of life skills, but at the same time, being sort of the abbot and leads here to really remind them that this is holy work. That when we prepare a meal, we should be grateful that we have food. When they are folding laundry, just being thankful that they have clothes on their back. It was important for us to really not only show them these life skills, these important things, but pairing it and putting a spiritual dimension on them.
Every evening prior to our rosary, we had this kind of examine of our day, and it was called Rose, Thorn, and Bud. And so the rose, the kids would go around and they would share the happiest points of their day. The thorn, they would share maybe something that made them sad, or something that they didn't like. And the bud was something that they needed to improve on. And so that was a wonderful thing too, because it allowed them to focus on something that they know they needed to work on. And for Butchie and myself, we took part in this activity too, so that the kids can also see that we took ownership of the things that we failed at and things that we needed to work on. For example, like my temper or my lack of patience and lack of gentleness in speaking to my kids. And so that enabled us as a community, to pray for one another and to support one another as a family.
In a monastic community, there's no secrets. And so having the Thorn Rose Bud activity helped with that. Is that sharing sort of the things that made them sad and knowing that, and then at the same time being able to share, hey, this is where I need to improve, and holding each other accountable to help with that. So, those were the ways that we really tried to cultivate virtue.
One-to-one quality time.
As mentioned, we spend a lot of time together because of this pandemic, like a lot, an excessive amount of a lot of time together. But because of that, just like in the monastic life, it's important for a superior to provide one-on-one time, to provide spiritual direction to the young monks.
And really to check in, right? And so one of the things we did is we would date our kids. We would have one-to-one time. So I would take one kid, but she would take the other kid, and we would rotate and just do like simple, not an expensive date, maybe take them out to go buy a donut. But it was an opportunity for us to check the state of their heart, to explain to them maybe some of the questions they had about what's going on in the world today. And we were very honest with them, and we were able to, like for Isaac, explain it to him in a way that he could understand, and then maybe go deeper with our eldest two. And it was just a beautiful opportunity for us to also get to know them on a deeper level, their likes, their dislikes, and just to check on them emotionally and mentally, how they're doing during this period.
As well, I think it was important for us, the husband and wife, the bedrock of this family and this setup, to really spend some quality time as well. Because let's face it, this isn't easy on anyone. And anytime we can kind of get out of the routine a little bit, even if it's just for like an hour to go grab a coffee, grab some bubble tea or whatever it was. I think they were very, very essential in just keeping things going for us mentally, and then for our relationship as well. So if we were doing okay, it meant that the kids, had a better chance of being okay as well. So take that
the whole family doing okay.
Exactly. Happy wife, happy life, and it's just important, especially during this time, to really, really carve out that time to spend with each of your kids and with one another. Did I mention that you're going to spend a lot of time together, all right, during this pandemic, and you have already, and maybe some more? So
There's bound to be fighting.
There's bound to be fighting. There's, arguments and
Tension.
just tension, all that stuff, right? Because you were just around, the same people all the time.
Yeah.
So because of this, there's going to be some hurts. There's going to be some harsh words, maybe not so nice things said and done.
Losing temper.
Yeah, on all ends, parents, kids. So it's important to say sorry. It's very, very important to keep this ship going, is to have that humility and say sorry. Growing up, we never got that. We never had our parents really apologize to us. And there might have been a few resentments there that we worked through growing up. But I know for our family and our family culture, we wanted it different. We wanted to be sure that forgiveness is a normal thing.
I just wanted to cultivate that specific virtue as well. And so one of the things when there was a hurt or something that went wrong between two people in our family is we would really try to nip it in the bud and address that hurt. And so we would have the person apologize, state why they're sorry, what they did wrong, and ask the person whom they hurt for forgiveness. And this really allowed the person who was hurt to verbalize and say, I forgive you. Because once the apology is made and the person has given their forgiveness, we can move on to bigger and better things as a family. Again, we can move on and do those fun things. So we try not to dwell on it.
Yeah, and I think the important lesson here for our kids and for us is just take accountability. If you do something wrong, own up to it, and say sorry. And then, we can move on. And it's the faster we can move on, the better it is, because let's face it, pandemic's not fun. It's not easy. All right. So dwelling on the negative stuff is definitely
no brooding on past hurts.
Exactly.
Right?
So the faster you can move on, the more joy can be had.
Prayer time!
Just a little bit.
So one of the beautiful things we've been able to do is just to weave in prayer throughout our day. And so before we have our breakfast in the morning, we start with prayer by listening to the scripture readings of the day. Butchie leads us in prayer. And then we pray the Angelus at 12, at 6, Divine Mercy at 3, and then we have our family rosary in the evening. And we have the kids leading as well. We have this bell that's a call to prayer with the Angelus, and I think that's the beautiful thing about that specific prayer as well, is that we have to stop whatever we're doing, no matter how busy we are or how immersed in that specific project we're doing in the moment. If I'm cooking, the kids are doing their homework, we stop and we pray. And it's just really to drive home the primacy of prayer and over our family life, and orient ourselves in everything we do towards the spiritual life. And that is very important for us. And it allows us to cling to our Blessed Mother's mantle, to the Sacred Heart, to the Holy Family, and to really just carry us throughout the day. It really anchors us.
Yeah. Pray. Enough said. No, seriously, you got to pray. And just make it a regular thing. And I think if you normalize it throughout your schedule and carve it out and be intentional with it, I think it can definitely help you throughout the day. And it's helped us for sure. All right, so to conclude, living this monastic, sort of within this monastic framework has been great. And I think our biggest takeaway is that order produces joy, is that when we're able to order our everyday tasks and everything towards the Lord, and on a more granular level, being able to set a schedule for prayer and other things, and have that stability for the kids and for ourselves, we're able to really make time for everything that we feel is important for our family and do the things together that are important as a family. And it really produces, like I said, joy. I think we're able to really churn that out more because of that stability and that order. And what's great about following a monastic sort of framework for you guys is that it's flexible, because every abbey and every monastery is different. They focus on different things. And as you know, all the sort of the religious orders focus on different. Oh my God. You know, as crazy as these times are, I think this is an opportunity for you to really do God's work with your family, you know, and really build that inner light within your own home, so that you can become an example to others in your parish and in your community and to your family. So good luck.
And be assured of our prayers.
Yep.
And we ask that you pray for our family as well. God bless.
Take care, guys. God bless.